So crypto is down today due to world events, but is it something we need to worry about? Well, we'll talk about that today. We're also going to talk about what's going on with OMI, what's going on with VeVe. Dr. Stuff is back from Portugal, so we get to have him talking about his experience in Portugal, which is awesome. Go ahead and make it rain on that like button and strap in for this show, and let's welcome Dr. Stuff and the real Randy Chavez.
Howdy. Thank you for having me.
What's up, fam?
What up? This is a good time to be here. Well, I mean, it's a good time to be here with you guys. Well, in America in general. Doc, you got out of the airline stuff just in time because the airlines be shutting down all over the place in that part of the world anyway. I don't know. I'm just thankful to be in America, be chill here. That wasn't an ice reference. I meant like chilling, like a penguin in a zoo. I don't know. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there.
I don't think anyone thought that was an ice reference.
But wait. So there is all kinds of doom and gloom out there. Oh my gosh, World War III, Iran. It's like Iran's not a superpower. They just aren't. Secondly, remember 2 months ago, all this doom and gloom that, oh my gosh, trade wars and it's going to escalate and every company's going to be broke and every small business is going to go out of business. What happened to that doom and gloom? Well, trade war problems are somewhat solved, not completely solved, but somewhat solved. There's no longer this concern that the whole world's in a trade war. And so the FUDers have just moved on. The people who worry and fret about everything have just moved on to the new thing to fret about, which is Israel and Iran.
So I had this theory when I was a kid that adults didn't know everything. It's just a theory. And then I got to be an adult and I didn't think things were this bad. Conventional wisdom states that in before World War II, World War II got us out of it. The Roaring '20s came to a halt because of, again, in conventional wisdom, in any economics class prior to this year would say it was because of tariffs. And that's what kind of drove us into the Great Depression. There was a lot of things. Clearly that didn't happen this time. Inflation's down, GDP, we don't really have for Q2 yet, but it looks like it's going to be up. And I don't want to spike the football too early, but things are looking pretty good as far as that's concerned. So I find it really hard to trust. I've always had a distrust of mainstream media, but now that, whatever they say, I just feel like I want to be that conspiracy theory, but, I feel like they just want us to hate each other. I feel like they just always want doom and gloom out there. I feel like they always just want that. And I feel like that's just not the case for most people if you just talk to them. And that's why part of the reason why I have this channel. I feel like people really freak out when there's a 2% move now. I feel like for crypto natives, we should be better than this. And we should be able to take it's 10%, it's crypto. But now if something moves 2 or 3%, it's like, oh, is it over? Are we in the bear? Every single time there's a dip, I hear I think, that's it. I think we're in the bear market. It doesn't matter that Goldman Sachs is buying an extra $20 million worth of crypto. It doesn't matter that BlackRock's buying billions. Michael Saylor just bought $1 billion worth of crypto last week. I don't think the bear market is here. Again, could be wrong, but it just feeds into my horrendous distrust of the state, of the media, and of all that. I feel like most people are just chill with each other.
Well, so if it bleeds, it leads, right? So news often makes their money through getting attention, and they get attention by scaring the hell out of you all the time. And so, look, some people haven't realized that, economists have predicted 17 of the last 3 recessions. So, they're just wrong on this stuff all the time. This is what 2020, even early 2021 felt like. Even January 2021, it's oh my gosh, the U.S. is going to be in civil war and everything's destroyed and crypto, the bull run is over and you should just face the fact that Bitcoin's going to go down from here. I was I think the instability will lead Bitcoin to continue going up. That's just my opinion. I think altcoins will still have a rally. No, there's not going to be any altcoin season. And then late February, early March happened, and altcoin just went kaboom, and some of them went 100x in a matter of like 3 or 4 weeks. Cool. Still happened, even though all the fudders and naysayers said it wasn't going to happen, and that same thing happening again. It's like, okay, that's just part of the psychology. That's why markets are so volatile and they swing in somewhat predictable patterns, because like people freak out every time like this and say it's never going to happen, right? It's happening. Paul, who joins me on Wednesdays normally, now he's not joining me tomorrow Wednesday because he'll be out of town, but he joins me on Wednesdays and he says the market climbs a wall of worry. We're going to see crypto climb a wall of worry. Oh my gosh, World War III, we're all going to die. Iran, Israel is going to spark off, and then Russia and China are going to side with Iran, and the whole world is going to be in World War III. It's not going to be World War III. And but that's the worry that the market is going to climb into, and you're going to see bigger green candles despite all this craziness. Now, doesn't mean it won't be down for a few days. It's still going to go up in the coming months.
There is a
Listen. Oh, I was going to say, I mean,
oh yeah, go.
So Omar posted in here, and he says, that the Genius Act kind of, I mean, he said it passed. It hasn't passed yet. There's still like a final floor vote that's got to happen. But like it's one step closer, right? Like across the and man, I listened to this interview Coin Bureau did with the CEO of Circle, who Circle, for those who don't know, they are the company that mints USDC, right? And so they talk all about stable coins, and basically the guy's projection is that like within like the next 5 years, what did he say? It was like, I mean, stable coins are going to be trillions and trillions of dollars, like in use, and like they asked some great questions, like, well, do you think that there's things that could happen that could severely hamper that projection? And he's like, yeah, like of course, right? Like, and he talked about some of these things, but he says the way things are trending right now, people 5 years, like think about that, right? Like, and it's so simple. It's so easy to transact, and all you need is the technology there, like to be built out, right? Like, I mean, right now we have credit card machines. We just tap that, but we're going to soon have it to where it's a blockchain, and it's still a credit card looking thing, right? And that's just your freaking wallet, and you enter in a passcode or however they're going to do it, and you're going to be tapping that, and it's going to be the blockchain. And why? Why are they incentivized to do that? It's because Visa charges 3% transaction fees. American Express even more, right? Well, the blockchain, right? You do like a Avalanche, or you do one of these where it's literally like 1/10 of a penny per transaction. Like these small businesses are making so much more money. Their margins all of a sudden become a lot better and more profitable, right? And so they're heavily incentivized to adopt this technology super quick. Why is that important? Because when you get stable coins in, it introduces more liquidity into the crypto markets, and more liquidity, then they're going to be curious and being like, oh, like, hey, like maybe I can buy this, maybe I can buy this. And I want to touch on something real quick with this, kind of in tandem with OMI. So Coinbase made that announcement, right, where they're basically going to incorporate all of these decentralized exchanges on their centralized exchange, right, where people will be able to purchase the token through an API that goes in and then initiates the smart contracts on these decentralized exchanges. So you'll be able to just go to Coinbase and purchase OMI. And it was funny because people are like, oh yeah, but like it's not like the one-off listing, and so like it's not that great. And I'm like, hold on. And they're like, oh, they're going to be competing with all these other tokens. I'm like, do you understand that like the one-off listings are now also going to be competing with all of those other tokens? Like they are, right? Because now anyone who goes on Coinbase can buy any of those tokens. So now even the one-off listings are now competing with that. Now maybe they separate it or they bifurcate it somehow, right? So they have to go to another page and maybe that's how they make a difference. But that's one click away. And it's going to be so big as people start to understand crypto. They're getting more comfortable with it. There's these laws that are being passed, like the Genius Act, where stablecoins are like a part of their daily life. Crypto and blockchain is a part of their daily life. you don't think that they're going to be like, oh, like what's the newest token, or they're going to throw money into some of this? Like, it's huge. Now, the one caveat I'm going to say that's been interesting is we're seeing like Michael Saylor buying another $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, or whatever's happening is there's a lot of OTC deals that are starting to happen that like have kind of muted the price action, and intentionally so, right? I mean, that happens all the time where they're like, I don't want to pump the price on myself as I'm buying this, so I'm looking to see if someone's willing to sell. But like, and so exchanges are actually making a lot of those sales right now, these OTC deals. But at some point, if more and more countries are doing this, there is no more OTC, right? Because these exchanges still have to have the Bitcoin to be able to trade amongst their retail investors. And then these countries and things are going to be coming in and they're saying, listen, we want to buy billions of dollars worth of it too. Like, it's going to pump the price. And so it's kind of like that elastic band where, like, yes, there are OTC deals going, but at some point people are like, I don't want to sell. And so they're going to have to buy from the market. It won't be OTC. And you're going to see that price skyrocket. And then the assumption that I have, right, is that a lot of that money and a lot of that profit is going to flow down into the altcoins. So when that happens, I don't know, but I truly believe it's going to happen. And when it does, depending on how far Bitcoin finally like rockets, it's going to get crazy.
You also have the people that are just buying paper Bitcoin for right now, and then the people that are shorting off of that, and they're going to have to buy at some point. So if you buy, I mean, if the price goes down, it's good for them. They buy it there. But if you go in and you push the price up, then they have to buy it up, and that's where the squeeze happens. And that's where I think where Rain talks about things running away and blow off tops and FOMO getting in. And that's where you see, like, if you look at Google Trends and see the interest in Bitcoin right now, there is as much interest in Bitcoin now as there was when the price was 16,000, which is freaking nuts. So it's clear that retail's not in yet. It's clear that you don't have this FOMO going in where they're putting in more than they should, or selling their car or selling their house. That happens every cycle. So I think when that happens, you probably get like $250,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. It probably does numbers that are insane. And as far as stablecoins go, they're worth $250 billion right now. Then you have something like Circle, which there was articles saying that Ripple tried to buy them for like 5 billion, 7 billion, and they said no. And then it was stated that no, like a correction article like 2 days later, that no, Circle didn't try to buy them for that, or sorry, Ripple didn't try to buy them for that. But now they're worth like $30 billion, which they had a Q1's earning of, I think, 65 million. So if you do 65 million and you multiply by 4, let's say they keep that for the entire year. It's obviously going to go up, but let's say that's that for the entire year. You have 260 million, and then if they're like 140x of their earnings yearly, if you extrapolate that. That's insane. And that's not what a random company thinks when they're like, okay, we're Ripple, we're buying Prime Broker Hidden Road for X amount of dollars for X amount of earnings, and that those numbers aren't really public, but this is the public. This isn't one person's opinion. This is the public that's saying that they're worth 30 billion, which is like 130x earnings if you extrapolate. So I feel like some of these numbers, like Bitcoin going to $250,000 or 300 or 400K, what do you expect some of the disruptive, innovative companies to do? I mean, a lot of people say like, 30x is a lot, don't expect that. And you shouldn't, right? Like, you shouldn't expect that. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm expecting that for many things. I'm expecting that for OMI. I think a 1 to 200x is very possible. And again, obviously none of this is financial advice. This is just my opinion. But I think the amounts of money that's going into crypto is a lot more than people think. And those are my thoughts there.
Yeah, I think it's so much more than most people think. And even back in 2020, like late 2020, early 2021, most people couldn't see this coming. And it was apparent to me that it was like, I was almost starting to doubt myself because so many people couldn't see it coming. I was like, am I wrong on this? I don't think I'm wrong, but it's like everything seems to be bubbling up that it's going to explode. But why isn't everyone else seeing it? Why is almost no one else seeing it? And it still played out like I thought it would. Not time. I couldn't tell the timeline. I couldn't tell how close that was to exploding. I could just tell it was bubbling up that way. And I was like, oh. And you do start doubting yourself, almost like when somebody's gaslighting you. You're just like, okay. But yeah, it exploded. It went absolutely crazy. And I was like, wow, okay, that's what I thought. And we're at that point again, right? And how more people don't see this? Well, institutions see this. The amount of people lining up to use XRP as their financial rails, like one of great members in this community and mine and others is Sale. And Sale does so much research. He sends me articles almost every day on XRP becoming the new financial rails for so many different systems, and how much money, like a lot of derivatives are going to launch on XRP's network, and it's like trillions of dollars of stuff going through. Like crypto is going to boom. The mergers and acquisitions that are going to happen is crazy. Some of these higher risk altcoins that have low market caps in the 2 or 3 or 20 or 30 or 60 million are going to see 50x, 100x, 200x. Some of them, lucky ones, will see like 1,000x in that type of environment. And people are like, no, that's crazy. And it's like, it happened in 2017, happened in 2021. Oh, there's too many altcoins for it to happen again. You know what there aren't too many of? There aren't too many substantive altcoin projects that do something that the world needs. But there are some, and those some are the ones that I'm interested in. And there are not too many of them. There aren't very many of those at all. There's dozens of them. But they reference like, oh, there's 20 million altcoins. It's like Joe Schmo could have created 20 altcoins. And yes, they technically count as altcoins that are created, but those aren't necessarily going to do anything. Substantive projects where blockchain combined with cryptographical encryption allows the internet to do things that are functional, that decrease costs or increase people's ability to get things done and solve problems that they need to solve. Those are going to do really good in this environment because people are going to have this digital Web3 awareness wake up. When Bitcoin hits a certain price, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, blockchain and cryptographical encryption. I get it. Okay, which companies out there do something that make this useful? Oh my gosh. Digital collectibles. Who would have thought? Now you have verifiable collectibles that you know are actually from Disney and Marvel. Who is the company out there doing that? Oh my gosh, it's VeVe. How long have they been around? Oh crap, 2018. How did I not see this come? These people will be getting FOMO. They'll be like, oh, of course this was going to happen. Why couldn't I find it in 2018? And the truth is, if they had found it in 2018, they probably wouldn't have stuck around. Why? Because all the FUDDers like, hey, Comey's never going to make it, and then the bear market here, and, this year and last year, oh my gosh, OMI's dead. So they'll be coming in just in time to take, as that ride goes massively up, and they're going to throw lots of money in it. And that cycle happens every time.
There is probably a lot that they could be doing for marketing, but I just went over with Rain this before we got on. There is a time and a place for that. While people are making jokes about World War III, this might not be the best time right now to do any marketing. Because even though there is, and the internet is so unserious about it, videos from like people in Israel, like talking like, looking at the airplanes in the night sky, like shooting stars, and they're actually filming rockets coming down. I'm like, oh my God, like glad they have a good spirit about it. You have the videos of the troops eating lobster, and we know that only happens either before they're about to go somewhere or if they're already in a deployed spot, the Pentagon Pizza Index. So there's just a lot of fear right now. And I feel like give it like a month or two, and then we can talk marketing stuff. As far as that goes, you have other tokens like Sui that they hired Christopher Lloyd or Doc Brown to promote their new DeLorean token, their DMC stuff. would it do any good to get celebrities or any type of stuff in the future? Or is it just like, that's fun, but it's not really what's going to speak to crypto people?
So I hear this from people invested in crypto all the time. Oh my gosh, we need more awareness of the token so the price goes up. So we need more marketing. That's what every community costs the whole crypto space. It's kind of like the kids are like, we need more chocolate. And they don't realize parents are balancing this budget of all these different needs and requirements. And sure, like it is easy for us to say, we need more marketing. I want more marketing because I want my number to go up. So first question is there even an effective marketing path right now at all? Secondly, if there is an effective marketing path, what is the potential cost? What is the potential return? Does it just increase the token price? Because if it just increases the token price, that really is like a short-term thing. We don't realize because attention flows. So it's like there is a way you can pay a whole bunch of smaller creators, and a lot of small creators would be more than willing to take whatever sponsorship deal, especially of a legitimate project. And they can pay like 200 different smaller influencers that have, say, across YouTube, they have anywhere from 2,000 to 80,000 subscribers, and they pay them $1,500, $2,000 a piece to do like interviews. And then the CEO does a blitz of all these different interviews, and it will grow awareness, and the price will pump. And then what's going to happen? Probably correct back downwards. Like it'll cause a 2 or 3 month shift. And so like, how did that really benefit the company? Possibly more awareness, so that when the bull run goes crazy, maybe more awareness out there already that maybe it goes even more crazy. That's just a maybe. That's not a known fact. So yes, there are some ways to increase the token price that you can throw marketing dollars at it. But could that money be better spent? Often the answer is yes. And so like that's why I don't go to the companies I'm invested in and demand that they do marketing. It's like I've been an advisor to multiple companies. I know the different things that they're weighing in the crypto space, and I've seen the effect of marketing crush companies out of business because their users were demanding marketing. Meld is a perfect example of that. All the communities like, we need marketing, we need marketing. So they wanted to listen to the community and threw a whole bunch of marketing dollars at marketing. And they're not around today. They closed their doors like 2 months ago. Why? Well, good thing they did that marketing, because that blew all their budget, so they couldn't last as long. But they did do marketing, and the community demanded it, and the community got, well, they didn't realize what happened with it. So do I demand marketing? No. The bull run's going to take care of it. The crazy thing what I like about crypto versus everything else, real estate, is the cycle is 4 years long. Like sometimes you're seeing that it's expanded within 4 years, sometimes a little bit shorter. Like last run was a little bit interesting. We had this March pump, and then we had like an October pump within 2021. We're already at June, and it hasn't happened so far 4 years later. So we're looking at probably later this year. Hopefully interest rates come down, more money flows into crypto, and green candles create bigger green candles. We're seeing some positive crypto legislation, but probably it'll happen sometimes later this year, and it will go absolutely nuts. So companies right now just need to survive, need to keep their head above water, not go out of business. Throw money at marketing. Yeah, if they have money to burn, they could. Is that the best use of it? I don't know that it is. I don't think it is. It's going to happen anyway. If they just survive, and then as things are going crazy, yes, pay a whole bunch of influencers to then jump on their channels and get awareness out to all these other communities, which will then kick things off right as the wave is hitting, right? It's like a surfer trying to paddle out way before the wave comes, and then he's all exhausted. By the time the wave comes, all that momentum did him no good. So right as the wave is coming, sure, when OMI already goes 5 or 8x, then do it. Or some other company, then do it. Right as the momentum is starting to hit you. And that will augment it. But before that, I just think you might as well light money on fire.
I'm with you, Rain. I think that It's not smart to spend a lot on marketing right now. But and I had misunderstood you initially. I thought you were saying to don't not do marketing at all. I was like, nah, like awareness of the token is so important, but it's got to be at the right time. And basically, yeah, if you start to see like the narrative, like when Bitcoin has gone up, right, and then people are starting to pay attention more to crypto, and then you start seeing like different projects popping off and doing like multiple X's in a day, right? That's when you're like, all right, like people are starting to be aware of things, and maybe this is when we should start doing our marketing, and then you come out with some of the big partnerships or big announcements and then start showing up on these channels, right? And that's when you start paying these influencers, because it is important to get the awareness. And that's one of the ways you do it is people go and they look on YouTube. They go and look and they're searching out top performing crypto tokens. That's what they're going to type. We've already talked about the fact that most people, right, they want to jump on the bandwagon of something that's already going up. And so if OMI's price is starting to go up and then they make this announcement, there's already awareness about the token because it's starting to go up. They make an announcement with a big partnership or something like that. Then there's attention there. Then you start doing all of these things, and it can really, really augment that rise there. And why is that important? And Rain talks about like the short term, like in these bull runs, this is when they have a business development wallet with all of this OMI. I want them to be selling that OMI at high prices to build up a freaking war chest, right? So they can continue to build out this company and grow it and make it more mainstream so that they have that money to survive. But they got to use that wisely. They got to spend it at the right time. And right now is not the right time. It's not the right time to be spending it. But there will be a time to spend it. And just like I had said, listen, people who have watched this channel or watched my channel know that like I feel like I try to call things out the way that I see them. I'm like, some people call me a moon boy. Some people call me like a little bit of a futter, which I think is funny, like on certain things, because I'm like, well, let's pull back a little bit. But I don't think that they should be doing marketing right now. But if when things start ramping up, if they're not doing marketing, I will be critical of that and be like, why aren't you spending money getting this attention, right? Like you need the attention now. You need to be marketing now. So
I also think their time is pretty valuable. And I don't know why VeVe does this. They usually don't post about stuff that they've been on until a couple of days after. They did that with one of the last interviews that Ben did. It was it wasn't like a YouTube interview. It was just a talk thing, and then we got the link a few days later. It's like, why do we get this a few days later? Why can't we get this when it launches? Like, that communication, I think, is pretty poor. And then on top of that, Dan has just gone on, and Dan we like never see. Like, Dan is, he's not really like a face guy. He's coming into that a little bit more, which is fine. Nice to look at. He knows what he's talking about. We very rarely hear from him, so when he does talk, people tend to listen. They went on this podcast called the USDN podcast. They have 220 followers on Instagram. They have almost 2,400 over on YouTube, and they have an Apple podcast as well. I'm not 100% sure how long the interview was. It might have been an hour, and I don't know how many. I don't have Apple, so I don't know how many views it got on the Apple podcast, but it got 9 views on their YouTube channel. And when I went to ask them about it on another show they were doing, it was there was 2 viewers and I was one of them. And I feel like if Dan, like, again, we see him so sparingly, if there's a rare Dan sighting, I feel like it should mean something. And it should be on a place where, oh, okay, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to watch. Them going on these channels that... There's a story in The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump where he says that one of his workers comes to him and says that, hey, Mr. Trump, oh my God, the worst thing has happened. This hotel across the street, we were both at $350 a night, and they lowered theirs to like $315. Like what do we do? And Trump says, like, well, they're telling everybody that they're not worth $350 a night. They're telling everybody that they're only worth $315 and that we're better. And I feel like anytime one of the founders goes on a channel, it should probably be, I feel like I'm really crapping on these guys. Like, they seem really cool. The United States Department of Nerds. I would love to just talk with them and chill with them and game with them. But it's just unfortunate that they just don't have a lot of followers, and their time, I think, is very valuable. And I think any investor or anyone that wants to, they would pay probably thousands in order to get an hour-long conversation with them. And I just don't think that juice is worth the squeeze when you go on channels like that. And again, that might be me being a little very too mean. And if so, I apologize, but I feel like that needed to be said. Rain, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, David and Dan are not crypto YouTube natives at all. I don't think they really know it at all. And so, like, the only reason you got to know David Yu is because you were doing like this podcast that's like, I'm not going to stop until David Yu comes on. And so somebody who works at VeVe, and probably somebody from the community who knew somebody who works at VeVe, alerted VeVe's people, who then contacted HR, who then contacted David Yu, as like, we don't want this guy to die like while live streaming, so you better jump on and join him. But David and Dan don't really know crypto YouTube at all. And so, like, I'm sure when they get invites, they're more like people. They're like, sure, you're cool, I'll join. They don't realize, oh my gosh, this is going to get, you have like 12 subscribers and this is going to get like 5 views. So would it be better spent if they strategically understood crypto YouTube? Yeah. Ben knew crypto YouTube way better, right? So that was the advantage of having Ben there. And we all miss Ben. And we'll totally have a party with Ben at some point. We love that guy. But Dan and David, that's not their strong point. Now, with that said, like, every person has their strong points. I would not trade David Yu's strong points where they are with him understanding crypto YouTube. So nobody in the world is better at negotiating IP deals than David Yu, which is, as an investor, what I need from him. Do I need them to understand crypto YouTube? I would love it if they did, but at least their strengths are where me as an investor most need them, which is signing big IP deals, continuing to deliver really cool stuff. They continue, like, I remember like 3 years ago and 4 years ago, and where VeVe was at and where the app was at. And it's like, one day we might be able to like burn an item to get another item. We might be able to combine items and stuff, right? And so much of that, we might be able to get like item for OMI. And so much of that has happened. So, like, I think they're positioned really well for the coming bull market. I love that people will be able to get OMI on Coinbase, because so many people come up and ask me, oh, Rain, well, what do you think I should get? It's like, well, I don't know what you should get. But if I didn't know very much about crypto, while yet knowing what I know about crypto, and I just needed some exposure to stuff, I'd get on Coinbase, because the truth is, you don't know enough about managing your own keys. You'll probably F it up and lose your keys. If I were just not a crypto, like, ready to jump all the way down the rabbit hole, I'd get a Coinbase account and I'd get some tokens on there that I like. And OMI wasn't an option forever, right? So, like, I'd tell them, out of what's on Coinbase, I personally like Flow and I like XRP. But now I'll be able to say I personally like OMI, which is on Coinbase, and they'll be able to get OMI right there. And I still like XRP. I think XRP is actually going to do some crazy things coming up.
There's a company called Orange Cap Games. They have less than 3,000 followers on X. They raised $3.5 million in a funding round, and it was led by 1X Network and Yuga Labs. Now, Yuga Labs has almost 500,000 followers over on X. And the capital is going to help them bring the IP to life while growing Moonbirds and then Vibes TCG. Vibes TCG has about 60,000 followers over on X. And what I thought was interesting is that Metaverse Man had said, thinking through this now, Moonbirds has Yuga Labs and Igloo Inc. Igloo Inc. has almost 70,000 followers, backing them in their first and second funding rounds. will Burbs be the happy median between Bored Ape Yacht Club and Pudgy Penguin community? You have these communities that do numbers on OpenSea. They do numbers on, you know, wherever. But outside of Web3, you know, kind of that's it. With all the IP that VeVe has, to this date, according to their particulars of shareholding, their shareholders agreement, they haven't had a new investor in quite a long time. Ben Rose was the only new one that they got, you know, and that was not a lot of shares. Generally, it's best to raise funds when you don't need it. They have never raised funds, at least in the last 4 years. When would be a good time to raise funds, and what would you do with the funds?
Well, it'll be easy for them to raise funds in the coming bull market. It'll be way easy. They'll have money thrown at them. They'll probably have offers to buy them outright. The amount of mergers and acquisitions are going to come through are crazy. Now, I've been in, you know, I went to business school like 2000 through 2003. I worked for one of the largest consulting firms in the world called Accenture for a while. So I followed, even though I then moved into real estate, I followed business like mergers and acquisitions and other things over the years. The mergers and acquisitions boom that is coming is going to be crazy. And I was talking to Manu from DEVVE about this, and I was like, do you see this coming too? Because I think this is going to be crazy. And he says, oh, it's going to be so crazy. Most people don't even know what's coming. The amount of money that's going to be thrown to be like, all these huge companies are going to be behind, and they're going to feel like they're behind, and they will allocate huge sums of money to just buy existing things or buy into existing things that are in the space. So it might be 3, 4, 5 months away, and VeVe will easily be able to raise tens, hundreds of millions of dollars when things are going crazy. You know, good friend of mine has a good idea here, Big A. I like your idea. I remember Dan David going on Lark channel back in 2018 when his channel was still called Crypto Lark. I remember those days. His intro was terrible, but he's a cool guy. Would be good if he could go back. He does have a big audience. He's got a decent sized audience, right? I think in the hundreds of thousands now. And he's got decent credibility. I like him. I think that money is best spent after OMI has 4 or 5x'd. Why? Look, his audience, do they get buy low, sell high? Better than actually a lot of YouTubers out there. But it's kind of like when people are afraid it's going to run away on them is when they're really going to buy in. So maximizing that, you just kind of wait till that. You know, if they could do an interview, that would be ideal on Crypto Lark. Because I think if people listen to VeVe's story, like especially if they did it sooner rather than later, they really need to hear VeVe's story. For the people in the crypto community that don't know it, and there are a ton, don't know anything about VeVe, and like hear what VeVe is, show the digital collectibles and everything on that interview. So not only have David and Dan on there, but have also the ability to pull up an account and show them some of these collectibles and purchasing them and seeing digital collectibles. I think that would get good traction, right? So even if they did this in this environment, it would help. As far as making, it would probably help VeVe sales go up, which would probably bleed into OMI some. If they did that as the market was starting to take off, it would augment that.
There's a post that VeVe did last week where they said it's important to be aware of sites that claim to be associated with VeVe but are not. 2 such examples are VeVe Feed and VeVe Comic Feed, which are run by individuals with negative views toward the platform. Just a reminder, these accounts are not affiliated with VeVe in any way. For official updates and accurate information, always check our official website, veve.me. Twitter's a war zone. And there was a post the other day with this one girl is just like, my current boyfriend cheated on me with the girl that my last boyfriend cheated on me with. And one of the comments was, damn, you're down 0-2. You got to play some offense. VeVe seems to kind of let things go. where people can slander them, people can lie about them, people can spread misinformation. And this is the only time that I've seen VeVe with a little bit of a backbone and say like, yeah, be advised, this is not real. They claim to be part of us. They're not as good. I think VeVe should engage more with this to, again, show that bit of a backbone, show they have a little shark in them. But maybe it's not worth it. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Later on, as they have like big war chests, it's easy to hire like scary lawyers that will get problems like that solved really quick when there's misinformation being spread. How much is it worth it right now? I don't know. Like how much credibility are people lending to that and stuff anyway, right? I don't know that it's significant. VeVe Wheels says, all I know is everything is falling in place. OMI dash Coinbase. Yes, it is a big deal. VeVe Wheels says, Rain and Randy, I've been loading up on Defini Toshi. I don't have any Toshi, and I'm not going to. And OMI, and I want some XRP, but I'm kind of hoping it goes under $1.80. Do I see it happening? Probably not. Probably not on the XRP. Could. I don't think so. I think it's at a decent price. Maybe it goes under $1.80 if you're lucky. The upside on XRP is quite high for a blue chip, in my opinion. I think you can do 25 to 200x from here. What will it actually
frame?
In the coming year. So one of my community members, Sale, has been sending me so much stuff on XRP. It like overloads me. But the amount of companies, like the stuff happening on XRP and the rails, like it's crazy. Like it almost seems like conspiracy theory stuff, but it's all in documented articles that you're like, yeah, I mean, a lot of the financial world is aware of and lining up to onboard stuff onto XRP's rails. And as trillions of dollars start to go across these rails, I don't know how the market cap of XRP doesn't go way, way, way higher. Remember, XRP's market cap exceeded Bitcoin's market cap in 2017. Most of you were not around in crypto then, but it did. It went higher than Bitcoin's market cap. Will it happen again? Just know it could. I don't know if it will. It can. So that people are like, yeah, it'll never catch up to Bitcoin's market cap. It's already done it once. It's a big deal what they're doing on the technology. Like the current financial rails are built back in the 70s. They're inefficient for transmitting money, and it needs to get updated. And XRP is perfectly positioned, been working on that for the last 10 years. It is going to happen on XRP combined with Stellar and a few other companies. Jason Penn clearly doesn't like Accenture. Accenture has gotten very political and very weird in the last 15 years. I don't disagree. They went public back when I was working for them, and companies like that going public, I don't think is the best. I think they should have remained a private company. They ran much more efficiently as a private company rather than a public company. So I worked for them 3 years, but because they went public, they weren't quite the meritocracy they had been. I love that Accenture used to be a meritocracy, meaning if you worked really, really, really hard, sky was the limit with what you could do with them. As they went public, they're like, I know you worked really, really, really hard, but we have to give all our money to shareholders and stuff, so we're going to give you a 3% raise.
Oh,
I was like, that's not what I signed up for. Sorry.
hey, Doc. Dan Lee posted the other day, and he said, everyone post-Lisbon is coming back super bullish, making me want to tap into my daughter's college fund to buy OMI. I ran out of rental properties to sell. What was it about Lisbon that made everyone feel like that? Was it the vibe? Was it the fact that David picked up a check in a couple places? Was it the fact that maybe some alpha was leaked? And you don't have to go over that. Just be like, oh, there was a little something, a little tease. Just the overall experience. But why was everyone so jazzed?
Well, it's the first time that I've seen the team actually publicly really talk about OMI, like in years, right? And that was the thing, is like I specifically took a picture and posted it from one of the slides where it's Dan Crothers talking about OMI and OMI's purpose, right? Like why it was created and what it's doing, you know, and that just in and of itself was so important. And I don't know what I can share with respect to, but like, I'll just say this. There was a reason that the team couldn't talk about the token for a while, and that's done. So like, and that was nice to hear that there was like a legit reason, and as to why they couldn't, and now they can, and they're starting to do that, right? There was that vibe, and then it was awesome to see so many Web3 people coming to the booth. There was so much interest, like legitimate interest. I think at some of these Comic Cons, people come and they're kind of like, "Oh, you get this code," and they're like, like there's so many unredeemed codes that they hand out there, right? From people who's like, if you sign up for this account, you'll get this, and then like they either redeem it and they sell it, but then like they don't have enough to cash out, so then the account goes dormant. Whereas like we're talking to Web3 people that get this, and they're like, wait, I can use crypto, right? Because they were like, hey, we're going to give you 100,000 OMI. And then with that, we're going to buy your first collectible. And they walk people through that, right? And just to see people get all stoked. And like the way that they did it is they're like, you know, what kind of a fan are you? Do you like Star Wars? Do you like Disney? Do you like Back to the Future, Jurassic Park? You know, all of these, I mean, there's just so many different IPs, right? So they're like, look through this list and see. And they're like, oh, I like this. Okay, well, let's see what's on the market. What could you buy? Right. And like, let's see. And then they go through Stacker and they buy that on, you know, like, it was so cool just to see the excitement. And so like having some people like get it, man. And, it was interesting. There's quite a few people who were like, oh, I'm here. Like, I'm not really on the socials, but like, I love VeVe. Like, and I continue to do these things. And like, it was interesting to see several people like that basically they came, they found out about this, and they came and they had a pretty big stack of stuff, right? But there's a lot of silent people. All these people that are popping up that hit the level 100, I'm like, who the heck are you? Right? Like, I didn't know, you know, like, and sometimes I'm like, you're following me? Like, how come I didn't even know about you? And like, you know, and it's like, they're just not public about it, right? They may have like 100 followers or 50 followers, right? And they just don't post much, but they're following all the people, right? And they have a massive stack. I mean, it's been crazy. And so, but I will say this: there was some info, you know, like just a little bit more of a hint of what's to come. And one of the they've already announced that there's this big partner that they're going to have. And basically, like, I mean, just the fact that this partner is going to be big and it's going to be a game changer, like for how things kind of from what VeVe's done in the past. And if, you know, I've got my ideas of what I think that could be. And honestly, like there's people out there throwing out hints what they think it could be. And if it is something like that, like that's massive. That's freaking massive. Right. And so that's the thing is I think people walked away from that being like, if it's something like that, man, oh man, is that going to be a game changer? And so, yeah, a lot of people walked away. And I'll say this for people who are going to in real life events. I've been to San Diego Comic-Con. I've been to New York Comic-Con. This hands down from like a VeVe community experience was so much more fun. It was so much more intimate, right? Like I got to, guys, I got to go on a car ride. It was me, Crypto Cosmo, Dr. Profit, Dan Crothers, and David Yu in the freaking car for an hour. It was insane. Oh, it was so awesome just to talk to these people and kind of ask them questions about where they think things are going and about the futters. just so many topics that came up. It was so fun. But what I also really gathered is, number one, they're still very, very invested in making VeVe a successful company. They are honed into that, right? And they're trying to do everything they can to make that a reality. They still care about that and they're passionate about that. That's important. They're not looking to just freaking cash out. They could have cashed out back in the day, 3 years ago. They could have cashed out big, right? And now it's lower. Like their cash out wouldn't be near as big. And I think that they're looking and saying, like, if we can continue to build this, it will be much bigger than the last cash out opportunity, you know? So I don't know. I got those things. I saw Web3 people who were actually very excited once they really understood it. And you know what? I didn't hear a single person say these aren't real NFTs. Not a single Web3 person there said that. Weird, right? And then so there was that, the talk about OMI, the passion that Dan and David still have, and how serious they are about making this work, right? And like just the innovative approach that they continue to take. And then the potential partner that they might have coming up, this announcement. I don't know why it's delayed, but yeah, if it's anything that, you know, a lot of people are speculating about, think about that. Look at what's online and like what's being speculated. If it's anything along those lines, right, what that could mean. So there we go.
Well, they have a history of delivering well, right? So what in their minds is big, we'll have to see how it plays out. But even if it were Pokemon coming out, right? Like, and I don't think it is Pokemon, but even if it were Pokemon, would that drive everyone to download the VeVe app in this environment? Probably not. But what it does do, if it's a big thing, is going to expand the freeway of adoption when everyone has this Web3 awareness wake up, which they have when Bitcoin really starts topping off the searches. People start searching what Bitcoin is all about, and they're like, oh my gosh, cryptographic encryption combined with blockchain allows things to be digitally verifiable like collectibles. Oh my gosh, where is the major IP? You know what? VeVe is leading that massively. And so this is just going to be an even bigger freeway of collectibles. They're going to attract people to get those collectibles. So I'm looking forward to the announcement so we can have the finer details and see exactly what that entails. But my guess is it just broadens that freeway as people come in. And now that you can get OMI on Coinbase, I mean, so the collectible side will be really good for VeVe's side of it. OMI being on Coinbase is really big for having a gigantic freeway of people being able to easily buy the OMI token. Remember how difficult it was back in 2021 to get OMI? It was so difficult. And this time, people in the US can go on Coinbase and buy OMI. I mean, it's a big deal.
That's a big deal. Sorry, and like I got to jump back in with this because I started talking about it a little bit. People are like, "Oh yeah, it's like it's not that. It's a one-off thing. It's not the one-off thing." And it's like all we care about is ease of purchasing the token. And honestly, it's like you can sign up for Coinbase and buy OMI. Who cares the method at which you do that? If it has to be on a different tab, they can just type in OMI. They're going to get it. That's big deal. So yes, are they going to also look up Fartcoin? More than likely, right? Like I'm going to listen. I know Rain doesn't like meme coins. I think Fartcoin is actually still could be primed to do some decent numbers as a meme coin. And I think the masses are going to look at meme coins.
So
what's that?
It's the top 100. So yeah, all of the top 100s probably, or most are probably going to go crazy.
Yeah. So like, is it going to pump 100x? No, of course not. Right. But like the diversification of that. And the nice thing is trying to time like when different things pump. And a lot of times meme coins pump before the actual legit projects pump. And so that's one of my diversification strategies is trying to find the ones that will pump earlier so that I can hopefully take the profits and roll them into the projects that I truly believe in. But yes, guys, like it is such a massive win that OMI is on base and that they're rolling all of these DEXs into Coinbase because of that. So you can buy OMI on base. That's so simple. It's so simple. I spent 4 hours talking to someone on how to purchase OMI initially, right when it was on freaking IMX. 4 freaking hours because they didn't know anything. And I was like, you got to set up a Coinbase account. And you got to do this, right? Then you got to bridge your funds, like whatever it was, right? And now I'm like, open up a Coinbase account, send money, buy OMI. It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, that's what she said. I refuse to be able to do that anymore unless they're like client of mine or paying me, because it's one thing if they're just non-crypto native, but then it's another if they're above a certain age, and then it's another if they're foreign, and then it's another. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I can't do it anymore. I won't do it. So now it's on Coinbase. And I think Solana's doing that with, or Bybit's doing that with Solana. They're having this hybrid model where all of the DEXs and SEXs are. So it's happening everywhere. Yeah, very, very happy with that. But we have David coming on the channel next week. I told people the other day that next week's interview, David will talk about OMI more than he has in the last 4 years. How do you want to play it? We haven't talked about this yet. How do you want to, who's asking what? I feel like you guys handle the OMI questions, and I'll ask the, what would happen if an AI video comes out of you and it says some expletives and absurdities? How would you I'll give like the personal questions. Because I mean, 2 hours of just 2 hours of just nonstop OMI talk, I feel like would be a little overkill, and we might need a little personal stuff.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about OMI with David Yuan. What are you talking about, right? Like, definitely want to talk about VeVe stuff. Go ahead, Rain. I just had to throw that in.
Yeah, like how long can you even talk about OMI? Maybe half an hour worth to cover there, if that. Like a lot of it's on VeVe. What's going to drive OMI's value is VeVe doing cool stuff. And a lot of people forget that. Like I saw that with Sandbox's token, right? And in Decentraland's token. When the metaverses took off, a lot of people that came in with money, they didn't go into Sandbox and buy land. They just threw money at the token associated with it, like crazy. So David Yu is focused on what he really needs to focus on, which is making VeVe as amazing of a digital collecting experience as he can. And that's what's going to drive OMI going crazy. Now, it'd be fun to have him talking about it, so he can answer the questions like, oh my gosh, has VeVe forgotten about OMI? Do they hate it? What is going on? How come you guys never talk about it? Sure. He could talk about that stuff, and maybe they could talk about their vision of what they see for OMI. But beyond that, like, what else is he going to talk about?
Oh, I could go for 3 hours about it.
But a lot of it is like the driver is like VeVe, right? So if he drives VeVe to become the #1 collecting app as digital collectibles goes crazy, by default, OMI is going to shoot off like a rocket going to Mars. And so that's what I want. If he fails on VeVe doing a good job, that some competitor comes in and trounces him, OMI's just not going to do as well in that environment. So like, I want to talk about, I want him to talk about 2/3 of his time, at least on VeVe, because that is the driver for OMI going crazy. Even though I have way more OMI than I do stuff on VeVe, like I want to talk about VeVe because that's what's going to drive my OMI bags to Mars, right past the moon.
You know what? So when I was in the car, Dan and David both said, like, what? They asked me, what are some of the things that you think VeVe could be doing? Like, what should we be focusing on just to get our input, right? And I said this, listen, I think one of the strongest use cases for collectibles that I'm surprised hasn't happened yet, and I've talked about this on the channel before when I talk about gaming, but like having your NFTs, your VeVe digital collectibles be skins in games. Like that's such an easy use case scenario to find a lot of different games. And I think that once they get it with one game, right, they're going to get it with a lot of games. But like, think about that. And there was always this speculation about Fortnite, right? Because like Disney owns Epic Games and Epic Games is Fortnite. And it's just like, you have these Disney NFTs. And it's like, can you imagine how epic it would be if you had your like Walt golden moment statue, and so you could have like the Walt golden skin in Fortnite. It's like Walt just like go around trouncing people. Do you know how collectible that like the partner statue would be because of that? Like honestly, it would go bananas, right? And that's just a simple example. I'm like, but you could tap that into any single game there. So that is a big thing. Then the other thing I said is I'm like, listen, interoperability is still a big thing for the Web3 crowd. Now, the people who weren't there, they talked about the VeVe collectibles becoming interoperable. And I think that's one thing that I want to ask a little bit more about is asking them and saying, hey, like you guys talked about interoperability. What do you mean exactly by that? Because different people have different definitions. You could say that, hey, tying it to a skin in a game is interoperability. Or is it that you can have it on as a cold storage, right? I can transfer my collectible to cold storage. That's what I would say a lot of people's idea of interoperability is, or true ownership is. And if they are also working towards that, then you better believe that the Web3 crypto whales will also be very interested in that, right? And if they're building towards these things, man, like I feel like both of those are simple things. The other thing that I talked about that I still think would be huge is movies, right? Movies in the VeVe verse. And being able to, because listen, I bought the NFTs. There's Lord of the Rings, there's Superman, and the Flash. So like DC or Warner Brothers, they did these NFTs and they're still there. And basically there was different rarities, and depending on the rarity, you got like extra access to things of like, interviews and like footage that they never used in the films and all these different things. Which is great, but I'm like, I think if you're looking for the VeVeverse to kind of be a social hub where you're having people over, you're showing off your collectibles and stuff, to be able to invite them over and say, hey, like, come watch this. We're all going to watch this movie in the VeVeverse with me, with my VeVe NFT movie. And I know that you guys are already partnered with freaking Warner Brothers. Make that happen. Bring my Superman, Lord of the Rings movies into VeVe, right? So that I can watch this. And they were like, well, there's some issues with like copyright and I'm like, okay, but here's my thing, right? Is I buy a movie and I can invite 50 people into my house and we can all watch that movie and there's no issues with it. Explain to me why there's any difference between that and a digital house that I have where I do the same thing. I'm not opening it up to the public where anyone can come. I have to specifically invite people that like have to be my friends. I think that that's possible. And I think that that's so movie NFTs is another vertical that I think VeVe, if they haven't done it, they have access to it and they should be doing it and stuff. And they were like, this is interesting things. All of these things are very interesting things. And we may be doing some of them.
That does get tricky. Right now, YouTube has these watch-alongs that you could do where if I'm watching, let's say I purchased a movie, I think it's called Mr. Nobody. That's one of the only ones that I purchased on YouTube. It's Saul from Everybody, not Everybody. Sorry,
that was such a good movie,
dude. That was so good. They're coming out with the second one, bro. I'm so excited.
What is this?
It's called
Mr. Nobody with Better Call Saul from
Breaking Bad.
I love that guy.
Oh, if you haven't seen this movie,
it's a movie.
It's called Nobody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're gonna mind blown tonight.
It is so good.
You will stay up late to watch this one.
If I wanted, with my subscribers, if I wanted to watch that movie with them, I could have a watch along, and we could all like kind of like watch with each other and chat with each other while I watch the movie, and they could watch it too, but they have to have already bought the movie as well. And it reminds me of this one preschool that got sued by Disney years ago because they were showing The Lion King and they didn't have the right to do that. Now, granted, this was like,
but it's a public school, right? And that's the thing is like there's certain ways to structure it to make sure that you're not infringing upon.
It has to be a private place.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like that precedent has been set, and I just, again, like you could have something that you're completely in the right with, and then some companies will just be like, well, you might be in the right, but we're still going to sue you. And obviously their relationship with Disney is like,
well, I mean, yeah, they would talk to him beforehand, right? If they're going to release movies and say we're putting them in the VeVeverse, they've already had those discussions with the attorneys, right?
I understand that, but if you have somebody that is, again, like anyone can like create you saw like Caloscope's metaverse, you saw like other people's metaverse. I think Bored Ape Yacht Club has one. Like, well, I have a metaverse too, and I have this, Disney movie that I purchased. I feel like if you do it for one, you might have to do it for everyone. And again, I love this idea. I'm just trying to figure out, trying to look at the bumps in the road.
Yeah, if there's new legal things that they would have to get defined out. You're right. I mean, that's really what you're saying.
Yeah. As far as you mentioned Fortnite, and yeah, saw that partner statue in the Disney Fortnite thing like a year ago or over a year ago. But there was a status from Bloxy News. They have almost 1 million followers over on X. It says that Grow a Garden is now the single biggest video game in the world. I'm glad you saw that. So they had over 16 million people, daily active users, over 16 million people, surpassing the world record set by Fortnite at 14 million in November of 24. This game, I looked it up on YouTube and watched quite a bit of content on it, is very simple. You go and you buy seeds, you plant the seeds, you grow the seeds, you sell the whatever it grows, you go and you buy more seeds, you plant other stuff. And there is some ways, I don't want to say cheat, other big people will come in and be like, yeah, you could take this like $500,000, like not in real dollars, but like in the Roblox dollars. And they just give you cool stuff. And again, this is not a complex game. It's not a first-person shooter. It's not a side scroller that has a whole bunch of different levels. It is a very simple game played in a very small thing. I understand why nowadays they can't buy like Square Enix. This costs a couple $2 billion, but I feel like purchasing like a small games, like there's a reason why Disney does not produce their own games and they license it out to somebody, because it's hard. It's very difficult. And I feel like a small game studio, you don't even have to buy them. Buy part of them or just pay them.
Collab with them so that they can build their game within the VeVe metaverse, that then also VeVe gets some money as stuff transacts in there, so it creates a win-win. And so VeVe pays nothing to have them do all this development, and they already have a game loop that works. Just make it so it'll work within the VeVe-verse, and so that all these people playing the game, some will be interested in coming and doing it in VeVe's metaverse, and bam, they don't have to make the risk of trying to make a new game loop that may or may not be successful, and they don't have to spend huge amounts of money to do it. They just make a collab with this company.
But it doesn't even have to be in the VeVe-verse. And this is where I'm saying is like they could reach out to this Grow a Garden and say, listen, we want to do some of your stuff. Like you're going to have a skin that you're going to create in this game, right? Let's drop it on VeVe, right? Or we'll do certain things. And then like if they own the NFT there, then they can bring it into the game, or we'll create some 3D things and put it in there as well, right? They could do some sort of collab, and to where like it just exposes people to like, what is VeVe? What's this NFT thing, right? And so, because what their pitch could be like, listen, like you already have all these great. I mean, you've got 16 million users. That's fantastic. A lot of them don't have a lot of money. Most of them are probably kids, and so it's the parents maybe that are buying stuff. But there's this whole other world of Web3 people that if we can get NFTs integrated into it, they can get interested in these games. And they could drop serious money on some of these things, but they're going to want ownership, right? They're going to want this to be able to flex that and be like, oh, I have this in the game. Maybe it's a freaking golden carrot. Like it could be something simple like that, right? But make it an NFT and partner with VeVe. And why would they partner with VeVe? Because they have all of the other IP, all of these major IPs already, right? They're the number one digital collectible company in the world. So that's why like it would make sense. And so not even having to bring it into the game. I think that they can eventually bring some of these games into the VeVe-verse, but just to capture additional revenue and introduce more and more people into VeVe, like that would be a way to do it there. So
preach. Okay. So AI is getting really good. I saw this one video of this guy telling this Amish girl, like, do you know, like, aliens invaded China? Like, how are you guys? And horrible, but it was kind of funny. And then in the comments, people are just like, show her an AI video of it. And just the other day, last week, you had a fully AI-generated ad that aired during the NBA Finals. And it was created by one person. It took 2 days with an assist from Gemini and VO3. How does VeVe go in and defend against because like I've seen people fall for it already, where like they take an old clip of Michael Saylor or an old clip of Elon Musk and they just dub over it with the AI and the voice, and they say, send your Bitcoin here. and if whatever you send, I'll send back double, doing a giveaway. How does VeVe prevent against that from people doing that to them? Saying like, send your OMI here, or rebranding.
The same way Elon prevents it, you don't. How do you prevent it? Because like that's going to pop up. But people fall for that maybe once. Like I've never fallen for that, but like people are waking up to that's a common scam, and they're just changing the faces on it. So it loses effectiveness over time. But like, okay, that sounds weird. I send them 1 Bitcoin, they're going to send me 2. Sounds too good to be true. Maybe it is.
Fair point.
I know every one of my videos, right? Like there's like spam bots that hit it, and it's like, oh, can you help me out? Here's my wallet seed phrase, and I need help moving this USDT over, right? And like, and then it has a link to where the wallet is supposedly on. I'm sure if you connect to that link, it probably puts some kind of spyware on your phone so that they can figure out your wallet info. Like, it sounds too good to be true. Like there are scammers, so many scammers out there. Like people are like, oh, should I get into crypto? I'm like, be warned. It is like skin diving in shark infested waters with more sharks than you could ever realize for gold at the bottom of the ocean. And there is lots of gold there if you don't get taken out by all the sharks, because there are lots of sharks. So learn how to deal with sharks so that you don't get bit by them. It goes fine. There are lots of sharks that can take your money, and they will come up with probably ads of like, David, yes, send me your OMI and I will double it. Sure.
I think the best $100 anyone can spend is going to like a mall, getting a random smartphone and putting your crypto on that smartphone. Because you don't want it with you. You don't want it anywhere where that would be obvious. I think doing it on that's essentially a cold wallet, because it doesn't have to be connected to Wi-Fi and whatever. And then if you want to connect to Wi-Fi, obviously to get access to it, you can. Because again, anything you could do that in meme coins that people send you. And half of the time it could be people saying like they just want to get their token out into other wallets. But the other half is just like, hey, you interact with this or try to sell it, and suddenly it's a wallet drainer and your entire wallet's gone. So lots of, good savings.
Yeah, I'm going to have mine after this bull market protected in like I won't even have access to like move all the money from it myself. I'll have a couple people, multi-sig verification, right?
Yeah.
With an anti-kidnapping policy, it's like, oh, cool, you kidnapped my kid and you think you're going to get like some kind of ransom. What's the ransom? 2 million? Okay, 2 million is going to go to whoever captures you, and we don't need you alive for them to give that ransom.
That really only works.
That will be the policy.
Ransoms don't really work for minorities. Like nobody's gonna. I don't think I've ever seen a situation where somebody's like, "I'm gonna kill this brown man." Yeah, I guess that's a you guys problem.
I honestly think that like if more and more people did that, they're like, okay, you're asking for this money. I'm gonna use that money and say, listen, like you either release my kid or like one of two things is gonna happen. I'm gonna put the bounty in your head, and either I get my kid back or they're gonna find you. So release him and I'll remove the bounty. But until you release, like all of a sudden, if that kind of was the script, then people are like, if I kidnap someone, I'm dead. Like I'm dead. Right, like
that's the only way to deal with kidnappers, because like some of these they're going after crypto people in like Russia and France, right? My mom, bless her heart, means well. She sent me this article. Oh my gosh, they're kidnapping like crypto people in France and Russia, and like, yeah, and it was the Russian mafia that like kidnapped people in France, so it's really just Russian mafia related. But like, you just have to put the bounty. You just have to put that money as a bounty on them. It's like, let the kid go or this, you know. But if you pay the ransom, a lot of times you don't get the person back anyway, and it just fuels it. So it's like, whatever. I'm going to diversify out massively out of crypto this next time anyway. It's like, oh, what? You want a condo? You know?
No, but I think like the like I love that concept though of just man putting it on their head, because you got to think that they're like, I told some people, like there's someone that you know that knows, right? And if that person hears about the bounty, they're like, can I trust that person, right? Like not to turn me in, or like, you know, because all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm not going to do that, but they're like, oh, turn you into the authorities and get the money. You better believe that I'll narc on you for that, right? For $2 million. And so then I'll give you this example. So I used to manage this buy here, pay here car dealership way back in the day. Worst job I ever had. It was awful. But one of the things that we do is people would stop making their car payments. They just take the car, right? And so we would offer a reward of a whopping $50 if people could tell us where the car is, you know, like this car. Do you know how many people ratted on their friends for $50? Oh, all the time. And they were like, you're not going to tell anyone. We're like, no, we're not going to tell them. We're not going to tell them who told us. They'll just know that their car is gone. They'll have no idea how we found out about that. Like, and so like, just imagine being like $2 million bounty. You better believe that someone who knows is going to be like, I'm getting that bounty, yo. I'm getting that bounty. So,
yeah.
Brilliant.
There was this one kid I served with. I won't dox him, but he like, so every now and like, and this was never anything bad. It was just like in the service, like, hey, like you're not allowed to gamble like in uniform. Not allowed, and when you're playing like silo, when you're playing like whatever, it's like, you know, we would gamble. And there's one kid that I guess he got his ass beat like in his prior duty station, and he just said like, guys, just so you know, I'm a rat. And we're like, what? And just like, and there's a couple people that had a problem with it, and I was just like, it shouldn't really just don't talk your business in front of this kid. But yeah, I appreciated him being very upfront about that. Instead of opening
Like,
up,
I can't keep a secret. People offer me a candy bar, I will rat you out.
I think that's fair. I'm like, listen, yeah, like I would love if people were like, listen, if you tell me, like I'm probably gonna say something to someone, like accidentally or otherwise, you know. So just don't say anything in front of me. It's like, all right, noted. You know.
So congrats to VeVe Vet. Says I reached level 100 a few months ago. Do I get one of those VeVe black cases with the glasses award and with the card in it?
Yeah, so VeVe Vet, my understanding is yes. I think that, so they're only giving this to the first 100 people who hit level 100, and there is this award and stuff like that. Sanjay should reach out to Sanjay or Mr. MC1. He'll kind of get in contact with you, but like, I don't know if they ship them or if you've got to come to one of the events and they give it to you in person. I don't know how that works out, but in Portugal, they had like 6 different people who were level 100s. Guys, the freaking German fan, VeVe fan is legit. Like there's so many Germans who are in the level 100 club. I was tripping out on that. Like they've got such a wild, strong community. So mad props to them. But yeah, VeVe Vet, I would say that reach out to Mr. MC1 and you can have further communication. Again, I don't know if they send it out to you, but it's a pretty special thing.
Forever, right? It really. I wish I'd known they were going to do something like that a while back. I might have allocated things differently so that I would hit level 100 in time for that, because it's a really special thing. In one of the first 100 to hit level 100 in perpetuity, it's a special thing.
Turn that.
what you looking at, Doc?
I'm trying to find. I've got to find it, man. But yeah, give me a sec. Let me see if I can find it. I'll be back.
Okie dokie.
In the meantime, what else do you want to talk about, Randy?
Let's take a look. See, Pudgy Penguins announces partnership with NASCAR to bring Pengu to NASCAR fans. That is the most popular sport in the United States. I think they're doing swimming. I think they're doing very well. And VeVe has announced recently. Well, they announced a new like Ultraman thing. Like they teased that. It's like on July 10th or whatever it is. And on every single, whether it was Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they just had the dun, 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 like normal music. But on TikTok, the music was "There she goes, there she goes again," and I was like, so I liked it. I commented. I was like, "This is awesome." But in the corner there, you see that it is a Netflix thing. So VeVe is promoting it actively, a Netflix thing. I don't know what that's about. I don't think that's the big announcement. I think the big announcement is something else. But I think any type of partnership with Netflix is probably something worth talking about. What do you think that is? How do they? Is it like just a promotion? I'm at a loss for thoughts.
I don't know. My VeVe tea leaves are broken. So, when I try to look at the tea leaves to like put the puzzle together to see what the future holds, I don't know. I have a hard time figuring out. So I just wait till it's announced. Overall, like investing is fairly simple. You find really, really good leadership with a really, really good idea. And you try to invest generally when things are down. You wait till they go crazy. And so I'm just like, I still very much believe in David Yu. They keep doing incredible things. And I'm waiting to see how this plays out. I don't know what those tea leaves look like for. Is that Netflix partnership? If so, what does that look like?
So I found it, guys, and I'm surprised that I didn't have it up there. But we were talking about like into perpetuity, that level 100. And I have that one from Comics and Crypto. Right. So this is the very first VeVe CGC label, right? But wait for it. It's the very, very first one. That 001 there. So this is the first VeVe comic that they partnered with Marvel on, with the signatures of it all and that. So when I think about like the cool things about VeVe and things in perpetuity, man, this is a part of VeVe history that is so freaking cool. And I'm super stoked on. And I forgot that I didn't have it up here.
Well, good thing that you live in Alaska so that the mafia can't come get that from you easily.
Yeah. Trying to think of where to put it. Let's see.
So there's I was washing dishes the other day, and I always use that as a way to like clear the head, and like the same way Einstein used to work at a patent office. It was a menial job that he could do while thinking about other things. And there's a game called Dark Ages. It had released 26 years ago. It was the first MMO. Like it was the first multiplayer online role-playing game. And in it, and there's still people that play it. There's very, very few. But I want you guys to imagine VeVeverse in 2050, because that's around the same time, Dark Ages came out in 99, 2025 now. So VeVeverse in 2050. There was this guy that went in to play Dark Ages, and so surprised there were still people there. And everyone was like the high level master. They were all maxed out. And they're like, is this a legit new person? Because there were people that were there that, they've known each other for decades. And in his journey to learn about the game, to become a master, it took several hours of grinding, several days a week for like 20 something days. And they say like, let us take you, like you've been here for a while, you've like proven yourself, let us take you to somewhere special. And they took him to this place in the game where there are statues of five players, 5 real people, and they were the first ones to ever hit master. And one of them still actually stood there. They're actually still playing. And I think that whether it's the people that have unfortunately passed on, whether it's Silicone, Pyro, Bruce Clark Kent, or Gwintran, as he's now known, or if it was the first few people to make level 100. I think that VeVe should erect statues of them, because it would be really cool in the year 2050 when someone comes in and the people that are still here, God willing, we're all alive, and they go into the VeVeverse, like, who are these people? What's this lore? And it's like in real time, you're finding this adventure. In real time, you're finding these really interesting ruins of a time that was once past. And I think that would be really cool. That could be like, hey, this is something that's not going to pay off for like a couple of decades. But I think that would be fun. Like somebody discovering the lore and discovering this. What do you guys think about it?
Fun idea, right? Especially like people that left a mark, right? Like Silicon Secure got people to get the vision of the Todd McFarlane Batman, right? And he went crazy buying a bunch. And really, when people saw him actually buying a bunch, that made an impact. And unfortunately, like, he died way too young. And so, like, that also left a mark of like, wait, what the heck? So, he's become part of VeVe lore, even though he might not have intended to. So I think, that'd be really cool. That's something you can do with metaverses, and the cost isn't that extravagant. It's not like they have to buy real estate. They just have to set aside maybe something within VeVe's portion of the metaverse. So I like that idea.
Yeah, man. I want a real Randy Chavez statue, bro. Seriously.
I know, right?
Like, yeah, I mean, Randy, like when we talk about like the people who have talked about VeVe the most, like he'll do like 2 videos a freaking day, 5 videos a day. like we're just a live stream for
8 hours a day for like 300 days a year.
Randy, like you have a substantial following base, right? Who's so loyal to you, and like even Wes, who like I talk so much shit, like so much, right? But like he still watches your stuff and he still tweets stuff out about you. You know, like you really have kept a lot of people here that I think probably would have checked out. And like part of it is they just enjoy the community and they enjoy your thoughts, and you're just like a lot of fun. There better be, if they erect statues, right, of people who've made an impact, there better be a freaking real Randy Chavez one, or I will raise hell.
I think they put top G of VeVe, right?
Yeah, dude. I mean, and obviously, like they recognize that. Obviously, you have direct connection to Dan. You talk with, to David. Like you talk with him all the time. You've definitely been, I feel like, rewarded for a lot of the work that you've done. But that if they did something like that, your statue would be one of the first ones, or it better be.
Thank you. So you guys know I'm building this like meme universe within the daCAT universe, and the goal is to get them all on excited about VeVe. And sure, when they go on, I would love for them to use my code, link down below. Because I would get a little bit if they buy from the store. But they get the 10 free gems, and I was really excited the other day when Dex Tools wrote an article on Crappy Bird, and then they had mentioned in there, actually, I sent it to David. Inside, they say intellectual property recognition and Web3 culture to be featured in VeVe Comics, a first for base memes. Crappy Bird, the only meme token that originated on base, will be featured in VeVe Comics platform via the daCAT universe. VeVe is the largest NFT platform in the world, licenses like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Lamborghini, Disney, and more. And I'm going to kind of pat myself on the back here. I do pride myself on working as soon as I get up, answering messages, doing OTC deals, doing whatever I can to help support the community. And again, all of these meme tokens that are coming on, whether it is Crappy Bird, Chaos on Chains, Sharby, and some of these people actually already are into VeVe. Like, oh, I know that'd be awesome. So you get some people that have walked away and they come back. And since then, I've had Ladies on Soul, Saitama Wolfpack, Space Penguins. And the last couple of days, I inked a deal with Digi Joints and Nike the Pig. And it's very strange where like that one movie, Dinner for Schmucks, Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, he goes in and says like, hey, we should do this deal, you know, with this Russian lady for her lamps. And, you know, the higher ups was like, make like $100 with this deal. And he says, well, it's not about her. It's about her multi-billion-dollar Russian husband that has this deep Russian oil money. And, you know, Nike the pig is what it is. You know, 10,000 followers. That's cool. But Nike the pig is based off Charles Hoskinson's his actual pet pig. Founder Cardano. It's the face of Cardano, and he shouts them out. And at some point, VeVe and we'll get a shout out from him just because the pig is going to be in the comic on our comic universe. I tell people in spaces all the time because I try to go on 2-3 a day outside of streaming, outside of writing all the comics. The best reason to come on to VeVe, or one of the best reasons, is because of me. I go live every night. I do content multiple times a day. I'm always in spaces pumping the bags. I work 24/7. I'm writing. I don't get sick. I'm not like one of these people like, well, you know, I have to spend, you know, time with the wife. I have to go with kids. I work all day. I do not celebrate major holidays. I do not take off. There is no one else that will work harder for you than me. And there hasn't been a single person that has said no. They've all of them come on.
Well, it's such a brilliant idea too. When you were walking me through this idea, it took me a minute to wrap my mind around. I was like, that's freaking brilliant. So you're getting these meme coin audiences and you're building a comic with them so that then they can have a comic related to their meme. And that's just going to get more people adopting VeVe. And secondly, some of these comics might have crazy value in the future for those meme coin holders. It might exceed the value of their meme coins by a ton. Why? Because there probably won't be tons of copies of them. And if their meme coin does take off, or just the fact that it's so different and not a lot of people maybe buy it right away, and later there's limited quantities of it, that just it is something that could shoot up tremendously. And VeVe makes money every time those change hands. And the comic could make money, or the meme coin could make money every time it changes hands. And Randy hopefully makes some money every time it changes hands. That would be like a win for everyone, including the meme community. I mean, the meme community, it's a huge win for them. It's a win for VeVe. Like, this is a win-win-win all the way around. I'm like, brilliant idea, Randy. Amazing. And you made that happen. That was your idea. Like, I don't invest in meme coins. I don't like the predictability of them. Will I probably buy some of the meme coin comics? Yes, I feel like it's got higher predictability, especially if the quantity is limited and the comic is cool. But I know the comic book writer for them, and you know, he's pretty funny.
They're really cool. There is one though that will like rip your heart out. The Saitama Wolfpack one that is very sad. I don't know what I was going through in the 4 days I was writing.
It's called Mushrooms.
No, so there's a character in the Nike the pig that takes mushrooms. I mean, it's a wild story. There's so much lore with some of these.
Well, Charles Hoskinson is all about mushroom experimentation, so that's fitting. His pigs might be eating mushrooms. Yes.
One of them is, yes. So they made this thing, like for Space Penguins, it was easy because I was like, what's the lore behind them? And they're like, we're penguins. I was like, okay. So I had a lot of fun with it. But for Nike the pig, there's this deep lore about, you know, they had enemies back in the day, and it's just I had to figure out how to build they're in the multiverse already, so they have to have technology in order to do that. So gravitational anomalies, how to go and travel dimensions. I have to pretty much reteach myself quantum and theoretical physics in order for the story to make sense. Bringing it back to VeVe, that being said, one of the other numbers that they showed was $1.4 billion in sales, in secondary market sales. That is insane. That equates to a couple $100 million for their, or no, I'm sorry, is that 30 million? Because it's 2.5%. Yeah.
I'll get it. I'll get the math.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely only like 30 million. I'm waiting for Doc. But yeah, just curious on your guys' thoughts on the
31 million.
Yeah. That number, if you were an investor or a potential investor, what would that make you think?
So 1.4 billion in secondary market sales over the last 3 years. Is that right?
I think that was since the app came out. I think that was since the app came out.
Okay. I mean, which is, so I guess, yeah, I would still say about 4 years, right? Because it was, well, anyways. So you got to take that secondary market sales, but then how much did they make in the gross sales as well with that, right? But what you truly need is the EBITDA figure. That's what you need as an investor. You need the full EBITDA. So like that is one part of it. But like if they've said 1.4 billion in secondary market sales, and so then their net revenue is 31 million. But then what are their expenses? That's a big deal, right? You've got to see actually find out what their net income is, or I mean, it's not even net income; it's your EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation and amortization. And yeah, you need to get that figure to kind of get a valuation of the company, and then you're saying, okay, like how much you're trying to raise. I guess that's the figure that you need. But is that an impressive number compared to a lot of these other projects? 100% it is. Yeah.
In this kind of environment, like it's going to be harder for them to raise funds through selling equity than it will in like say 3 to 6 months when the market is going crazy, because there's just going to be this awareness explosion. Number one, like sales and VeVe stuff will pick up in that type of environment. Because if they're looking at it and they break down those numbers, they'll be like, oh, well, the secondary market sales, you were making so much of this in later 2021 and 2022. But now it's fallen off, and they're going to have recency bias. And unless they understand crypto, unless it's a company like Animoca Brands that like gets it, that gets the 4-year cycle and everything, most of them are going to be like, oh, it looks like you're dying here. And they don't understand that it goes like crazy, and then it falls off. And then 4 years later, it goes crazy again. So you wait till it goes crazy again, and companies will be throwing money at it. Their valuation will be 20 times higher. So it's just like, is it best to raise money in this environment? No, it's not. And I got to roll in just a few minutes myself. Lost stuff.
Yeah, we probably ended here. I guess final thoughts. Don't believe the hype and news of the media, and just love each other. And just because you see certain troops deploying, Trump has like 90 days with the War Powers Act. I don't see Congress voting on it for an actual declaration of war. I feel like it's just going to be temporary. Granted, I did say that about Ukraine and Russia, and 3 years later, here we are. So take that with a giant grain of salt.
Well, I would say Trump isn't Biden, and Biden isn't Trump. And that happened under Biden. Notice it never happened under Trump. Trump is, I know people hate giving him credit for what he's good at. He's good at solving problems, and he solves them fairly quickly. I remember I was in crypto when, oh my gosh, the whole world is going to die because he's saying bad things to Kim Jong-il, and they have or Kim Jong-un or whatever, and he's got a nuclear bomb, and then he has a button and he could press it, right? And then Trump's like, I have a button and it works. And oh no,
and it works.
The news is like, oh my gosh, he's handling this so bad, and we're all going to die. And China's going to side with Korea, Russia's going to side with Korea, and we're going to be at World War III. And 2 months later, problem is solved. No more test fires out of North Korea. Had been doing that for like the whole Obama administration. Comes in, Trump solves it in 2 months. Everyone forgets about the threat of North Korea under Trump because like he solved it. So, and that was we were all going to die. The news every day for 2 months. We're all going to die. Trump is a crazy man and blah, blah, blah. So look, crazy man. It's good that he has that reputation. Why? Iran's like, frick, this guy is crazy. Okay, let's take down the volume or we'll probably be dead next. And, they don't feel they can predict things with him. And they can't actually. Well, you can. It's called fuck around and find out. And all these people who keep fucking around against Donald Trump are finding out that it doesn't go well for them. And I think Iran is going to be scared of what Trump is going to do. Trump solves problems. He solved problems in Afghanistan. There have been all these killings of U.S. troops, and they met with the Taliban, and he showed the Taliban leader a picture of his home. He pulled out this envelope that had all these pictures. Hey, look at these. He's like, what are these? Oh, I don't know, just a gift. And the guy's looking at pics of his village and his own home and stuff, like drone footage of it. And he's like, just know that, if one more soldier dies, we're going to have to take action and solve some problems. Kind of leaving it are you going to blow up my home and my whole village that I came from? No more soldiers died until Biden's there. And then all of a sudden it's war on soldiers again. So look, you may hate Trump. You may think he's a dick. You may think he's a narcissist. He solves problems.
Thank you for the super chat.
This whole Middle East thing is going to be somewhat resolved in the coming month to 2 months.
Doc, final thoughts?
I mean, listen, just to recap, I came away really bullish on VeVe after going to the NFC Lisbon event. I was so impressed with their ability to talk more about OMI and their ideas around and there was a lot of talk on how they can make OMI more prevalent in the ecosystem. I think that's exciting. And they're doing everything that they need to make sure that the token is a utility token and so that the SEC is not going to target it. I think that's important. The fact that they can more freely talk about the token is awesome. And I'm really excited. Hopefully this partnership is something along the lines of what people are speculating. I'm really hoping that's the case. And but other than that, I love this community. I'm so grateful for this community. It is so fun. It was so cool to go there and actually interact with so many people. Just made friends for life, Shout out to the King of the North. If you guys don't know who that is, he's amazing. He's so funny. And Ryan and I'm trying to remember all their crypto names. But Powell, anyways, I could go off forever, but there's just so many people that I met. That was awesome. This community is awesome. And listen, I love my digital collectibles. They're a lot of fun. They're super cool. Collect what you love, and you're going to enjoy this ride. But I think that the next 6 months, 6 to 8 months, I think something big is going to be happening in that timeline, honestly. And we'll see where things pan out. So be a little bit more patient. At least that's
Shout out for the super chat that came in. Camster sending this. VeVe should look into being on a new device like the Seeker phone, different chain, but no fees for devs and crypto focused community. It's a no-brainer. I don't know much about
We have to look into that. The Seeker phone. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Camster. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I think the future for crypto is very, very bright. World events can get depressing, oh my gosh, the world's going to end. I remember being at the university and believing the papers when they're U.S. and Iran are going to war. And that was 2001 or 2002 or something. I was oh my gosh, what if it happens? And so, I don't know. A lot of times these big world events that could turn on World War III just end up blowing over just fine. Crypto's technology that allows the internet to do things it couldn't do, and digital collectibles are going to be a really big deal, and VeVe is perfectly positioned for that. See y'all soon.
Bye, guys.